Have you ever had trouble with your water heater and the pilot light keeps going out? A lot of times the pilot light will go out because of a defective thermocouple, and we're going to show you how to change the thermocouple in a standard water heater. This particular one is the safety vented one on the bottom, or the enclosed firebox model, so it's a little bit different procedure than what you might be used to. First step is to turn the gas valve off into a horizontal position so it's sideways across like that. That would be off. On would be straight in line with the pipe. Off would be at a 90-degree angle to the pipe. Now we got to go down to the lower part here, so let me get down on my knees. The outer protective panel is just a squeeze panel. You squeeze it and pull it off and set it aside. Now we're going to turn the burner control to off. So we're going to take the top burner control and turn that to off. And now we have 4 screws down here on the firebox. I believe they're T10 screws, which I've already taken out. 1, 2, and 2 on the other side. That loosens the whole burner assembly in the firebox. Now we have 4 more disconnections to make. We need to disconnect the spark trigger by carefully pulling that down off of its mount. And then we're going to use a wrench or pliers to remove the pilot light gas line, the main gas line, and the copper colored thermocouple over here. Now that all 4 of the connections to the gas valve have been removed, the whole burner assembly will very carefully pick it up a little bit, and we can pull it all the way out. You'll bring the whole burner assembly out here, and we're going to take that up to the kitchen and work on it there where we can see it better. Alright, here's the burner module from our FVIR style water heater. This is a GE one made by Rheem, and FVIR is flammable vapor ignition resistance, and the idea is that if something happens and your gas starts leaking, this will prevent a buildup of flammable gases, or if you spill some flammable vaporous liquid in your basement or somewhere low in your house. This sealed firebox unit here, as being part of the water heater with seals all around everything, will prevent the vapors from either escaping this or getting into this and causing a catastrophic explosion in your basement. Water heater fires are or used to be a very common type of home fire, and this new type of system here keeps that from being so common. And a couple of cautionary things: when you're working on these, it's a good idea to replace, every time you take this apart, or at least after any length of time where it starts to get brittle, you should replace this red rubber seal here that goes around it, as well as the red grommet here. If you've disturbed it and it won't go back in properly with a good seal, you should replace that grommet there. There's also a seal around the viewing glass here, has a rubber seal around that. If that fails, you should replace that. Now, the thermocouple is like a flame sensor. What it does is it's positioned here, right next to your pilot light. Let me get a pointer here so you can see better. But the pilot light comes out of this small tube you can see right there with the cutout in it, and that's where the gas comes up. A very small trickling supply of gas comes up out of there and stays lit all the time. And it keeps this thermocouple here hot enough to generate a small electrical signal, which is transmitted through the copper thermocouple to here, to your gas valve. And the gas valve is always on the lookout to make sure that it's getting a signal from this thermocouple. And if it doesn't get a signal, it shuts the supply of gas off to this pilot light right here to prevent a buildup of gas and a possible explosion. And we also have, the newer ones, water heaters, also have an electronic ignition feature, so you don't have to reach in there with a match or lighter or something and try and light it like you used to have 2 years ago. And this is an electrode system, a piezo type electrode here, an insulator with an electrode here, and it's kind of like a spark plug in a car. You push the button, or on your barbecue grill, you push the button and it clicks. It generates a signal, and it will make an electrical arc between the point of the electrode here and the steel body of the pilot light housing, which in turn ignites the gas to the pilot light. All the while you're holding down the safety pilot button on your gas valve for about 20 seconds, which in turn gives the thermocouple time to warm up and tell the gas valve that everything's safe and ready to go into service. So what happens over time, the thermocouple, the sensor here, will become corroded, rusted, or just plain fail, and they have to be replaced. So that's what we're doing on this. We're going to replace the thermocouple, and it's a pretty simple process. I say there's a rubber boot here that we're going to have to separate and slide it through. This end here is just screws up into the gas valve very gently. Make sure it's not cross-threaded, and start it by hand. Give it 3 or 4 good turns by hand before you start tightening up with a wrench or a pair of pliers. And the other end is, we'll flip this over, is pressed into a housing here. It's going to be a little hard to see, but there's a, get my pointer again, there's a compression connector right here that you're going to need to squeeze, and then the whole thermocouple will slide out of this bracket here and can be replaced. Alright, well, what I did is I reached into that gap with my pliers and I squeezed the edges of the clip, which, hang on, right there. You can see the clip right there. There we go, right there. I squeezed the clip together around the edges and pulled to the left, and the whole thermocouple assembly right here slid right out. And you can see it's very, very corroded. Let's see, I'm trying to get a good view of it. It's very corroded and dirty right here. There we go. Look how much corrosion that there is on there. And we're going to replace it with a new one that was $10 at Home Depot. I've seen them online on eBay for as cheap as $4. Or you can get the whole kit that includes a new thermocouple, a Torx bit screwdriver, a new rubber seal for this, and new mounting screws for the cover plate. And that whole kit comes for $18, also at Home Depot. We've installed the new thermocouple, and you can see right down there how shiny it is, right here. And it loops around and comes out through that grommet, and right out up here, oops, right up here, where it's going to line up at with the other parts it needs to be hooked up to. But we're going to test this and see what happens. Alright, the water heater is back together. We replaced the thermocouple, cleaned up all the other parts of the burner assembly like you guys saw, fitted it all back together and sealed it up. Even made a few repairs to the air vent system on it. Cleaned that all out too real good. Got it relit and it's going now. We'll see. Usually it only lasted, what, for maybe 2 or 3 hours before the pilot light would go out? What do you think, Dan?
Seems like every time I wanted to use it, go out every other hour.
Yeah, it's been going out a lot, so we shall see how it goes. And just a legal disclaimer here. You know, it is a gas-operated, fire-generating, dangerous appliance. I would recommend that you hire a trained professional plumber to work on and repair your water heater. You know, if this helped you at all to see how it works, though, and to understand the principles behind it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye for now.